Beauty and the Beast is a story that has been told and retold through time, immortalized in books, songs, plays, and most famously in film. It's a story of love breaking curses and of beauty softening even the hardest heart. But what if we told you that behind this beloved fairy tale lies a far darker and more tragic story, one rooted in reality rather than fantasy? The tale of Beauty and the Beast was inspired not by magic, but by the strange and heart-wrenching life of a man named Petrus Gonsalvus and his wife, Catherine. Let's take you back to the world where their story truly began. Once upon a time in the old Spanish Canary Islands, a mysterious boy was born in 1537 in Tenerife. His name was Pedro Gonzalez, and his appearance was what set him apart. The crown of his head to the soles of his feet were covered in thick hair, so much that he resembled a wild creature. This is a health condition known as hypertrichosis, or werewolf syndrome. His life wasn't easy, as he was constantly an object of entertainment. By the age of 10, he was taken from his home by Margaret of Parma, regent of the Netherlands, and sent as a gift to the court of King Henry II of France. The people at the court saw Pedro as a beast and expected him to be a savage. So he was kept in a cage to ascertain whether he was dangerous or not. Once it was established that he was not a threat, he was let out of the cage, and the king gave him a Latin name, Petrus Gonsalvus. Everyone was intrigued, but most importantly, the king was eager to tame the wild beast. So, in a bid to make a man out of who he considered a monster, he decided to educate him. Yet, even as Petrus grew in wisdom, the court never let him forget his place as a spectacle. He was admired not for his intellect, but for the strange blending of beastly appearance and human mind. Years passed, and Petrus became not just a learned man, but a man of courtly manners. Yet he was never truly free. His entire life was dictated by the whims of those who saw him as something less than human. Petrus's fate took a drastic turn when the king died from his jousting injuries in 1559. After the king was buried, Catherine de' Medici, the king's widow, decided to make more out of the beast by experimenting what his child will look like. So one day, the king's widow announced that Petrus will be getting married, and proceeded to find a woman for him. That woman's name was Catherine. She was a noblewoman of a good family. She was speculated to be one of the queen's lady-in-waiting and daughter of one of the queen's servants. Catherine knew they found a man for her, but she didn't know it was Petrus. One can imagine her shock when she was introduced to the monster as her husband. Her life, like Petrus's, was dictated by the desires of others. She had no say in the matter because arranged marriage was the norm at that time. But her union was less about alliances or fortune and more about satisfying the court's morbid curiosity. Catherine was beautiful by all accounts, and the contrast between her and Petrus was not lost on the courtiers. It was as if they were living actors in some twisted play where the beast was to wed beauty. But this was no fairy tale. There was no enchanted rose, no curse waiting to be lifted. There was only reality, a harsh, unforgiving reality that Petrus and Catherine would have to navigate together. Catherine may have come to love her husband in time, for Petrus was by all accounts a kind and intelligent man. But the foundation of their marriage was not built on love. It was built on spectacle, on the demands of a world that treated them both as something other than fully human. Despite the nature of their union, Petrus and Catherine had children, 7 in total. Of their children, 4 inherited Petrus's condition, their bodies too covered in hair from head to toe. And just as Petrus had been treated as a curiosity, so too were his children. They were not raised in private. They were paraded before the courts of Europe, sent to live in noble households where they were exhibited as wonders of nature. For Petrus and Catherine, there was little respite. Their family, rather than being a sanctuary from the world, was put on display for all to see. Their children were not merely children, they were living proof of the court's experiment. This was their tragedy, a life where their love and their family were overshadowed by the roles they had been forced into. And as the years passed, the story of Petrus and Catherine began to change. Over time, it morphed into something else, something more palatable for the people who wanted to believe in happy endings. Their story became the seed of the fairy tale Beauty and the Beast. For Petrus, there was no magical transformation. His condition was not the result of any curse, and no kiss, no act of love could change what he was. Catherine, too, was no fairy tale princess. Her love for Petrus, if indeed she did love him, was not enough to lift any curse. Her beauty did not save Petrus, nor did it save her from the life they were forced to lead. Their children fared no better. Those who had inherited their father's condition were sent away to serve in courts across Europe, where they were treated as living wonders, no different from rare animals in a noble's menagerie. And those who had not inherited the condition were nonetheless marked by their family's fame, their lives shaped by the same objectifying gaze that had followed their father. Catherine died in 1623, while the last known record of Petrus was in 1617, when he was listed among those who had attended his grandson's christening. In the end, Petrus Gonsalvus was not a beast waiting to be transformed, and Catherine was not the beauty destined to save him. They were real people living in a world that saw them as something less than human. If you would like to hear more stories like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Thanks for watching.